Hi. Make sure I'm getting the pronunciation right. I know you go by Dara, but
Yeah.
how do you pronounce your full name?
You said it right, OLUDARA
Okay, last name.
ADEEyo.
Adio. Okay, I'm like, I want to
Mhm.
make sure I get it right. Dara, welcome.
Thank
Welcome,
you. Thank you for
welcome.
having me. And your pronunciation of your name is Talia.
Yeah, Talia. Yes,
Talia.
yes,
Yes.
yes. Thank you for a special chat. I don't even do book talks on Mondays, but I'm like, we'll make an
Oh, well, thank
exception.
you. I
We'll make an
appreciate it.
exception because this is out tomorrow.
Yes,
This
it
is out
is.
tomorrow.
Excited.
For those who are already asking, where can they get both?
Everywhere, anywhere, honestly. But I always encourage buy black.
Okay.
But most black bookstores will have it. All major retailers, all
Okay.
of them.
Okay. So the
Mhm.
book, which came out a couple of years ago, and then the deck is out
Yes,
tomorrow. Early
yes.
congratulations. How are you
Thank
celebrating
you.
tomorrow?
That is a good question. I will be working.
Okay.
And then I think I'm going to a workout class with one of my friends. So,
Okay.
you know,
Pretty chill.
celebrate. Yeah,
Pretty
pretty
chill.
chill.
Pretty chill. For those who are just joining us, I am talking to Dara about her best-selling book, Self Care for Black Women, which is now a card deck, which I'm going to be showing you throughout the night. This is out tomorrow, um, wherever you get your books and stuff. So any
Mhm.
major retailer, your local indie bookstore, your Black-owned
Yeah.
bookstore,
Yes.
um, so wherever you get your
Mhm.
books, and then this is always available wherever you get your books too.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I bought the book last January for obvious reasons. I loved
Yeah.
it. Do you have a website?
I
Uh,
do, but you can't buy the books on there quite yet. And but I you can get them anywhere. Any way you buy them supports me.
okay,
Any honestly.
okay.
So
And for Kai, I order books from Black-owned bookstores all over the country.
yes.
Obviously, you have to get them delivered. Like the last book I bought from a
Mhm.
Black-owned bookstore, I bought a book from Reparations Club in LA, and I live in
Yes.
DC. So you could buy
Mhm.
whatever, the same way you would buy anything else
Yes.
online. It'll be shipped
Yes,
to
a
you.
lot. Yes, Kindred Stories in Houston,
That's where I got
Mahogany
this. That's where I
and
got this at Kindred. In
yes, yes,
2023.
love them. And then Mahogany Books.
Yeah, in National
Ooh,
Harbor here in the
yeah,
DMV. Yeah.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. They always carry almost everything I have. So, do that. And if you want to do Amazon, you can do that too.
No, then
But there's Bookshop. It's on Bookshop as well. Simon and Schuster has its own Bookshop section, so that too.
okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Does Apartment 105 carry? I think that's a local mobile bookstore. Not sure. But Apartment
Mhm.
105, they should be able to let you know if they have it or not. But they're a mobile
Mhm.
bookstore here in the DMV. Anyways, welcome to the chat. I would want you to introduce yourself to everyone who may
Yeah.
not be familiar with you. I feel like I first learned about you, like obviously the book, but as far as like in the online space, your Love Island commentary.
Oh gosh.
So, so
Oh
that
my
very
gosh, I love
traumatic
that.
period from
Oh my
summer
gosh.
last year. So I've seen your Love Island content. I've seen your Bad Bunny content. You're a
Oh
big fan of
yes.
Bad Bunny. And then the other types of things you kind of incorporate into your social media. And then we also know you for the book and your mental health expertise. But for those of you who don't know you, introduce yourself.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is OLUDARA. I do go by Dara. I am based in Los Angeles. I am a mental health therapist. I do have my own private practice, but I also have my own full-time clinician job. And I am also an author. I am with Adams Media, which is an imprint of Simon and Schuster. So the card deck is the fifth project, I believe. The first one was Self-Care for Black Women. Then we had Affirmations for Black Women, which is low-key my favorite baby. It's a journal. And I love journaling and I love affirmations. And then we had a coloring book. And then after that was Meditations for Black Women. And now we have the Self-Care for Black Women deck, which I'm excited to do because I've been wanting this out for many, many years. And Self-Care for Black Women has taken off. When SO1, which was a local bookstore here, the that used to be here, the owner of it had told me, the book will take a life of its own, and just write it. And I've been writing it. And as far as content creation, I kind of fell into that. I got on social media really to promote my books and writing. And then I also I've been learning Spanish since 2019, and I have a genuine love for Bad Bunny and music in Spanish. And so I just started sharing that, and that took off. And sharing about telenovelas that I watch, and just anything that genuinely interests me. I have a background in journalism as well. So I used to be the managing editor at Double XL almost 10 years ago. And then before that, I worked in PR, beauty PR a bit. And then I was a web editor at cosmopolitan.com for about almost 3 years. And then through that, I intern at teenvogue.com for many years. And so my background is in journalism. And that is my first degree. And my second is social work. So I am a social worker.
And you actually answered my first question. And for those who have questions, save those for the end. We're going to have Dara answer all your questions at the end. So my first question was about kind of your life prior to this life. And you've already talked about your journalism and media career. But I want to know what was happening personally and professionally that caused you to make this pivot into mental health, into wellness, etc.
Yeah. So around the same time I left Cosmo in 2013, my mom had passed away. So she passed away in New Year's Eve, so December 31st, 2013. And prior to that, I had been her caregiver while also working full time. She had rheumatoid arthritis, which, if anyone's familiar with that, it is an autoimmune disease. And an autoimmune disease, ultimately, it's just your body is attacking itself, and it makes it hard to have a good immune system. And so that came with many complications, from her not being able to walk anymore, not being able to work. She had a lot of hip replacement surgeries and a lot of knee replacement, and things just didn't seem to get better. And her health got worse, and then her mental health got even worse. And I think in the caregiving for my mother, I kind of began to reflect on maybe how did she end up here, and then also how was that impacting me. And I began to really see that I had learned to overwork myself. My mother, she was the kind of woman that kind of ignored her ailments. She would ignore her needs, and for the sake of just anything else, whether it's work, whether it's home, being a wife, a mom, whatever roles she had, she would ignore her stuff. So I began to kind of see that dynamic and see that pattern. And I was already beginning to be okay, I need to shift already. And then she passed away. And then, I decided to leave Cosmo because I was dealing with workplace racism, which we can get into that. And then I was just kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I fell back into journalism with working at Double XL. And then when I worked there, I was I actually want to leave because this is too much for me. And I honestly, I had to call on my circle of friends who really knew me and were okay, what do you feel you want to do next? And one of my dearest friends suggested social work, and I looked into it, and it aligned with me, and I basically started exploring it, and it felt right. It felt right. And that's how we got here. Yeah.
Okay. So now that you got your master's in social work and you're a licensed social worker, what were you discovering as you started working in the field about Black women and their mental health? What were those discoveries that really was the catalyst for you to be I need to really hone in and focus in on Black women and their mental health needs?
Yeah. So I think my mom was the catalyst to begin focusing on the wellness. And then once I got into school, I had an idea that I wanted to focus on mental health and Black women. And so that was kind of my idea when I applied to the school. And when I applied for scholarships with the school, I was kind of like, oh, I went to USC. So I moved to California. So
Okay.
I grew up in New Jersey. I was working in New York and I was living in New Jersey. And in 2016, I decided let me apply to grad school, and I decided to do USC. And I decided to do USC because they were a very holistic program, and they look at the whole picture of an applicant. And I had not been in school in a while. I did not think I was going to grad school, so I was really scared. But anyway, so that was kind of my focus going in. And once I got into school, once you're in your graduate program, you can kind of pick the topics you want to write your papers on and stuff. And I always was like looking at the research for Black women. I was looking at what was out there. There is research, not a lot, but there is research on just like how Black women take care of themselves, how what we do for self-care, what we do for our mental health, how do we cultivate community, and how does stress impact the body? Because that was kind of the thing for me. It was like, I think my mother's stress triggered health issues, and I began to see through research and just living that stress really does impact our bodies. And so I became very interested in that, academically, and then also personally. I was really like, okay, I'm in this state by myself, no family here. I'm on this new journey. Let me also make sure I'm taking care of myself. So I began to like do my own self-care walk. And as I began to do my internships, and I interned in areas like Skid Row in Los Angeles, which deals with a lot of severely mentally ill people, and then individuals of color, honestly, like Black, brown individuals.
Hmm.
I really began to really care about that. And then, you dive more into like the systems of things and how the systems impact everyone. So I really began to have a strong interest in that.
Okay. Okay. So in the card deck, for those of you when you get yours, I have mine. That first or second card in one of the first paragraphs, it says that stress is killing Black women. Like that's a very on the surface, that's a very extreme thing assertion.
Yes.
Can you kind of speak to the real severe impacts of stress on us?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I know that's a really strong statement, and I mean it. So, because and I think it's something we really do need to take seriously. That like stress really does kill, and it's not going to kill you instantly, but it'll kill you over time, as you erode your nervous system and your body and your health and your mind. And so the systems that exist in this country, I mean, globally, the structural racism, especially for Black women, misogynoir, which is like misogyny and racism directed at Black women,
Hmm.
it really impacts us systematically and individually. And it can really be taxing on your mental health. It can really cause you to dehumanize yourself. And I think as Black women in this world, we are conditioned to kind of dehumanize ourselves because the world does, right? There's so many stereotypes thrown on us from little girls, so many narratives thrown on us, so much responsibility, right? Like a lot of Black girls are adultified, and that erodes us and forces us to take on more responsibility than we should as little girls, and that just follows us into adulthood. But I mean, there is research that backs it as well. Like the CDC a couple years ago really said that racism is a health risk, and that is very true. Like it really is, because we see how it impacts Black women in the medical system, whether we're with doctors who don't believe us, whether we're misdiagnosed or late diagnosed with conditions, and whether we just don't want to address situations because we don't think we'll be believed and so forth. So I'm not kidding when I say stress really does kill, because it really misaligns you from yourself. So.
Okay. So the idea of self-care,
Mhm.
I don't want to say it's a new concept, but I do
Oh,
feel like in the last 5 to 10 years, it feels like a buzzword.
yes,
It feels like a
absolutely.
buzzword. You get on TikTok, someone's like,
Hmm.
I'm having a self-care day, they're drinking matcha, they're doing eye mask. um
Agree.
from like a clinical perspective, what is self-care? Like
Yeah.
what is it and what isn't it?
Yeah. You are so right. And I will agree with you as a person who has a book that says self care for Black women. We can talk about the side of book industry where it's like, yeah, we got to have buzzy titles,
Hmm.
to grab people in. But it is true. Like I feel like in maybe the last decade we've seen self-care is not new at all. Like I feel like our foremothers as Black women have always been doing self-care. Maybe they didn't call it that.
Okay.
But I feel like that's always existed. And I think maybe, for like 10 years ago, self-care was just manicures and pedicures and whatnot. But I think self-care now is really about regulating your nervous system, making sure you are well when you have to go deal with these stressors. It's not just about getting the massage. It's recognizing that, oh, I've got to set boundaries with people in my life, or I've got to set boundaries with myself, or I've got to, work on things that are related to my mental health or my spiritual health so I feel at peace versus just, oh, let me go get my nails done. I mean, those are great. I agree with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Those,
don't even know if that's like not saying it's stressful for it's not it is stressful, but it's like for me I don't even see that as like I'm like it's beauty maintenance. It's
Mhm.
like for me it's like it's not necessarily relaxing. Like so like for me it's like those things have never I've never associated those things with like self-care. I'm like no, this is maintenance.
Right.
This is
Yeah. And that's kind of like, I would say that's kind of the idea with a lot of my books. It's like letting Black women learn that like we can have maintenance and maintenance looks different for everyone. And I always believe that like what starts like you have to be intentional about your things, then it'll become instinctual. So like if you're intentional about trying different self-care routines, different things, eventually it'll just become part of you where it's like, oh, this is maintenance. Like, yeah, I gotta go get my hair braided because absolutely I need those like 6 hours of peace.
mhm.
But yeah.
What else do you think people get wrong about self-care?
Um mm, well, I just see a comment. Someone said relaxing is self-care, but also makes me feel lazy. And I'm going to say I think that's a misconception about like
Okay. Do you think Black women specifically have a lot of guilt around
mhm.
self-care? Okay.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The need to always work, the need to take care of others. And sometimes it feels like, oh, I don't deserve to be doing this. Maybe that's not what you're telling yourself, but like it's like, oh, I'm too late. I can't do this. I can't just relax. I'm being lazy. I need to be doing something. And that's a trauma response, could be a trauma response, but it's definitely like, the feeling the need to always be going and going and not wanting to rest. And I think rest is what a lot of us need as Black women.
So when you talk about self-care, I've noticed that you always put the word radical. Like you oftentimes
Mhm.
put the word radical in front of it. And when we think
Mhm.
about radicalism, like we think of it as kind of like a political construct. When you say radical self-care, what does that mean?
Yeah. When I say radical self-care, I think that anything Black women do is radical. I think anything we do is political. And so it's almost like society doesn't expect us to take care of ourselves. It's almost like we aren't allowed to put ourselves first. And I think it becomes a radical act when Black women are like, actually, I'm gonna take care of me. I'm gonna make sure I'm regulated before everyone else, right? And right, like the rest is resistance movement, like, and it becomes radical because it's not expected from us. And I love that.
Do you ever think we'll ever get to a place where Black women are practicing self-care like unmasked? Like
Mm.
do you think it's like a tool to like dismantle some things? Like, if enough of us choose
Mm.
ourselves, put ourselves first, what do you think that can kind of do for the world around us?
Mm. That's such a great question. What can I do for the world around us? Ooh,
Can it?
can it,
Can it
right?
do something?
Will it, is it allowed to happen, right? Because the way society is structured, you know, they don't want us to be
Hmm.
free, mentally, spiritually. Um, and yeah, that's actually a really good question that I really need to think about.
Yeah,
Like,
and the thing is, like, it's so not far fetched, but it's like,
mhm,
imagine if we all put ourselves first and we all kind
right,
of adopt the mentality, and like
right.
everything generationally, like there's definitely
Hmm.
gaps. Like the way my mother might see self care may not be
Hmm.
the way that I see it. My
Hmm.
grandmothers, I don't even know if they even like. They're
Right,
like, what is this new age like? What is this new age American like? What is
right,
this? Like, you know?
right.
And especially like divorcing it from like, being an immigrant child,
Hmm.
um like individualism is not,
Okay.
you're not to be individualistic, right?
Right.
So it's
Can't.
just like so it's like, what would my
Please.
grandmother say, like,
Right.
if I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I'm telling people no, and I'm, taking time to myself, like, they
Well,
don't, like, would she even understand?
right. Would she even understand? Because was she even allowed to have that space for it,
Mhm.
right? I think our foremothers definitely found a way to have that. But I will say, I think we are in a bit of like, I call it like a self care renaissance for Black women. I think there's so much talk about it, right? I
Mhm.
think, especially after 2020, I think there's just been a lot of talk about it. And as we see what's going on politically, I think even now we can look at what's going on now with varying degrees of like Black women being like, hey, you go out there and protest. I'm going to sit back and tend to my community,
Mhm.
right? Which I think is fair. And but then also, like, some of us are like, yeah, we're still gonna be out here doing the fight. But I think our everyone's fight looks different. Everyone's self-care looks different. Everyone's resistance looks different. And I think it's about allowing that space for that as well. Because I think sometimes what can happen to Black women, people love to put us in a box, and sometimes we put each other in a box. And that's not fair for us. So yeah.
Okay, okay. So I want to talk about the book because
Yeah.
the book came first.
Yeah.
Um, what was it like writing this? Like, how did you sell this? Like, when you went to the
Well,
publishers, how did they buy into this?
Well, okay, I'm going to be honest. My book journey is different than most. So my publisher actually found me.
Okay.
So yeah, I was at a point where, I had been a journalist. I was graduated with my MSW. I was now working full time, and I had decided, let me be a little bit more active on social media. Let me share things I may have found with research, and just, I was just talking more about Black women, I think, and wellness in general. And so they found me. So Adams Media is definitely a place where they find their writers.
Okay.
And someone reached out to me, they sent me an email. Because I also had, at the beginning of the year, I was like, I want a book deal. What I wanted to write fiction. If I'm gonna be honest, I still want
Okay.
to write
You
fiction.
can still do that, yeah.
I still plan to do that.
Simon and Schuster is a big play. Yeah, you can do
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. But so I my editor reached out. I got an email and it was like, "Do you want to write a book like about self-care for Black women?" And I was like, "Hold up." I'm sitting at my job where I'm about to, like, do therapy with a client who's homeless or unhoused, and I'm like, this is this is a joke. And so then I had a meeting and it was not a joke.
Okay.
And they were like, we have this concept and we think you may be the right writer for it. What are your thoughts on it? And I was like, heck yeah. Okay. I was thinking about my mom. I was thinking about my grandmother. I was thinking about my friends. I was thinking about, oh my gosh, I would love to. to do this. And so then they're like, send us what you think this book could look like. And so essentially I got to writing and I just, all the concepts, and they looked at it. They had a meeting with their team and they're like, this is perfect. This is exactly what we want. And honestly, that's kind of been our relationship ever since then. It's been like, hey, what do you think the next project is going to be?
Okay. No, that's wonderful because
Yeah.
when we look at the publishing industry, you know, we're underrepresented, our stories are underrepresented. So for them to come to you and not vice versa, to show that type of interest in something that is very specific, very targeted, not necessarily meant to appeal to the masses,
Yeah.
and they still wanted to publish something like this. That's incredible. That's an incredible journey for you. What was the reception like? Because this is a bestseller. So what was the reception like? What were kind of the things you were hearing from readers after the book came out?
Yeah. Let's see. I heard honestly all positive things. There have been some that were like, oh, it does feel like they didn't, some people don't feel like they need it, right? Like they don't, which that's fair,
No,
and I
what's
think
your response to that?
Yeah,
do people not need it?
Well, I think it's needed, and I definitely think that I suggest it is a guide. It is not a sit down and read page to page,
Yeah, it's literally like activity by activity.
Yes.
You divide it into mind, body, soul. It's I think the industry calls this like a gift type book. Like they call it a gift. It's very much like one activity, it's an activity per page. The book has 150. So it's not even like one of those. It's not like it's not like that self-helpy.
Exactly. It's not like you're gonna sit down and read it, right? And you're gonna be. It's definitely okay, I need a reminder. What kind of activity do I want to do today? I feel like I need to be poured into. Let me read something, right? And I think that has been the misconception of you need to sit down and read all my books from page to page, cover to cover. And it's no, I'm a social worker too. So I love solutions. I love giving activities and, guidance. So I'm this is okay, I need support. So what can I do? What can I read? And I think that's what it is. And also my writing, I like to be accessible and I like to be easy to read. And so that is definitely my style. I think also maybe being a social worker and a journalist, it makes me want to write in a way that I feel like other people can understand it.
Yeah, in journalism school, I remember being taught you're pretend you're most your audience has a fifth grade reading level, right? Yes. And we're talking about the literacy
third,
or even less. And we're talking about the current literacy crisis. So I understand needing it to be accessible, and this is very accessible. It's one activity per page. It's easy language. I didn't have to look anything up. It's pretty accessible. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Easy to read, layman's terms, and pretty to look at.
Yeah, no, very beautiful. And I think that's what makes it kind of in the gift category, because this is set this on a coffee table. I keep this in my guest room. So anyone who I keep a couple of books in my guest room, and guests can do whatever they want. So this is one of them, because it's if you just want to thumb through something, I think this is one of those books you can thumb through. What have been some of the most impactful responses to the book for you? Can you call out specific pieces of feedback that really touched you?
Oh my gosh. The things that touch my heart are, a lot of people, I've had people tell me their life stories of how this, the book had made them realize oh my gosh, I need to slow down. But my favorite is when maybe I do a speaking engagement and it's mostly older women. Aww. And it feels like I'm getting to talk to my mom and I'm getting to be girl, slow down, and it's also interesting to watch them shift their mind, because I will say the older generation, there is a pushback with some of my work. They're what do you mean I can have a soft life? I had someone tell me once that I just think these kids think they can have everything be easy for them. And we had to have a conversation about and what is wrong with that? What is wrong with maybe desiring an easier life? you know? And so it's so wonderful to see women who are, I would say, maybe 50 and above, who are shifting their minds and are like, you know what? I can make decisions for myself. Oh yeah, I can go on this vacation. I can leave this relationship. I can, it's like that's what I love. I love seeing elder women begin to like have a shift in their mind of like prioritizing themselves. And it's like this exactly. So
Okay, so back to buzzwords because you said a couple. Um, so also in this current, I blame everything on social media, but like there's so much talk about the soft life, the soft life, the soft life. Um, and it doesn't seem like it's a term that you win, like you didn't wince at it. You're using the term.
Mhm.
Um, is there a difference between like what is the relationships between a soft life as you define it and self care?
Mm. I'm gonna say I think a soft life involves self-care.
Okay.
I think it's all intertwined. Um and you're right. That is such a buzzword. It's like, what does that even
Yeah.
mean?
And it invokes different things. Like some people think it's like, oh, you're just trying to, bad
Mhm.
wig, white husband, you're just trying to live in luxury. Like there's so like the word soft life, I think it's pretty polarizing. Like
It is.
'cause some
It
people think it's
is.
that it's like, oh, you just want to like be hypergamous and marry a rich white man and
Mhm.
and wear beige and do all of this and
Mhm.
not work. And so I wanted to hear
I
your
wonder.
perspective
I
on the
I
word.
feel like when maybe it's not soft is not the right word, but definitely like stress less. And I think I don't wince at these words because I'm like I take on all the words that mean I'm gonna live an easier life, emotionally, mentally, spiritually than my mom did. Right. I'm like I'm breaking the generational pattern of like you work so hard mentally, yeah, everything. You beat yourself up, you judge yourself, like pour so much of yourself into others that you don't pour into yourself. I'm breaking that pattern in my lineage, and I'm like yes, soft, cozy, whatever. I take it all, stressless. Give it to me, you know.
Okay, okay. So book did really really well. When was this born? What did this come out of like how like the book came out in 2022, right?
Hmm.
This is coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whose idea was this? Like how did this come about?
Well, I would definitely say it was mine. I was definitely like suggestions. So every year what would happen, they'd be like, okay, what do you think the next project is? I actually wanted the card deck to be next, I'll be honest.
Okay.
But they were like, let's do a journal. And I was like, that's fine. But the cards were always in the back of my head. And this time around, last year when they were talking about what do you think the next project is, I was like, well, can we finally do a card deck? Like, And they were like, yes, we could do that. We figured it out. We figured out how we can publish that and, do all that. And so it was just timing. I think, yeah, just about the right timing.
Okay. So the book has 150 activities and the deck has 50.
Yes.
How did you go about narrowing down to the 50 that make the card deck? Like what was kind of like the thought process and why these 50?
So the thought process was, what can I pick up and do right now? So like when you look at any of the cards, it's kind of like, okay, what can I do right now? What's an action I can actually do this moment? And so I was thinking about that, right? Because I think that also in the book, there are a lot of things that it's not necessarily you do it right now. It's kind of like you sit with it, and even it's a long process. And so the most of the cards, all the cards are all like, okay, what's something I can do right now? Essentially.
Okay. And for those who already have the book, make your case for them also getting the deck if they are, because like I see the value in both, but like what do you think
Hmm.
is the value in having both?
Yes. Well, the card deck you can take with you, wherever you want to go. You can keep a card maybe somewhere around your home versus like, you can't necessarily well, you could. I'm not gonna just rip out a page and post it somewhere.
Uh-huh.
But like this, if you want to, that's fine. But now it's like you can just grab a card deck and maybe have it by your bedside or on the fridge as a reminder. And so it's just easy, and it's easy, accessible for you. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you give this as a gift without offending or having the receiver
Mm.
feel as though like what are you trying to say? Like how do you gift something like this in love? Because I do think this makes a great gift, and like the book
Mhm.
also makes a great gift, but like how do you give this to a black woman in your life without them being like what are you trying to say?
That's a good question. I always say, like, just, I was thinking of you. You know, I saw this, it looks pretty. Like, I think you may enjoy this. And I think you also encourage them, like, yeah, you need to, maybe it's some self care. Um, you don't necessarily have to like say like, oh, because I think you need self care. Just like I saw this book, it looks pretty, and I want to just give it to you, encourage you to pour into yourself.
Okay, okay. Um, so this deck, is it one of those things that like you can use daily? Like what is the ideal? Like you talked about leaving cards around the house, taking it
Mhm.
with you. What are some other ways that you think women can use this deck?
Yeah, yeah. I think one way you could use it as a jumping point if you're journaling, if you want to pick it up and look at the activity, and maybe you want to write journal about how you feel about that activity. I think maybe using it weekly if you're like, okay, this week, this is the self care activity I want to work on. Or if you're like, I want to use it daily, you know, or if you're like, I want to get off my phone, I don't want to look at social media because what is going on in Minneapolis is a bit too much.
Yeah.
You can okay, you can pick up a card and figure out, okay, how can I incorporate that today or tomorrow or some other day this week?
Okay. What is something in the deck that black women can do like right now, even if they're doing like what's like think like one
Ooh.
of the 50 activities, what's something that we can do right now?
Ooh, what's something that we can do right now? Oh, you putting me on the spot. Ooh, honestly, even though we're on it, take a break from social media.
Okay, okay. And what does that look like realistically?
Yeah.
Like what does like how does one realistically take a break? What can breaks look like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, breaks in social media can look like maybe it's a day, maybe it's a week, or maybe it's a month or more. That can look like deleting the social media apps off your phone. That can look like also setting boundaries, right? You could be like, oh, I'm not gonna scroll while I'm at work. I'm gonna scroll after work. Or maybe I only scroll when I'm at work, and when I'm at home, I don't even touch social media. So I think also putting boundaries about it around it, and also being honest with yourself about your screen time if it's too much, and also how what you're seeing is impacting you. Um, what whether it's negative news or positive news, right? Because I think sometimes we see things on social media and we're like, oh, you know, seeing someone have a different milestone, a life milestone, you might be envious of that, and figuring out, okay, how does that impact me? Maybe this is something I don't want to see. Um, and yeah, be it's got to be realistic for you, right? And it can also start small. If you're like, I cannot take a month off. I'm definitely a person that can take a month off. I can do that. Even though I am a content
Yeah, I was about to
creator.
say, how does that work? Because like I post every day, right? Like that's
Yes.
kind of like the cadence that I've chosen for myself. Like
Yeah.
what do breaks look like for creators?
Wow. That is so true. Before I get to that, have you ever taken a break? Because you
My
post
day
every
job,
day.
okay, so my day job is also social media. So like my 9 to 5 is social. This is
Wow.
all the other hours of the day because this is very much full-time work too.
Yeah.
So I don't know for me if it's so much as like a break, so much as it's like you said, those boundaries.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
I'm trying to get to a place where it's like I only respond to comments at this time. Like I'm not constantly responding to comments throughout the day. Sometimes I'm like there are just certain comments I'm not going to respond to, like if I covered it in the video, if it's in the caption, I'm
Yeah.
not responding. Sometimes it looks like I'm not going to respond to this person, I'm not going to clap back because I know if I clap back, it's gonna be a problem. And someone's gonna be texting me about Talia, Talia, Talia,
Understood.
like stop, like.
Understood.
So
Understood.
I don't know if it's necessarily breaks, but definitely boundaries. And then,
Absolutely.
I think when you are a creator, you kind of feel the sense of being like needing to know what's going on, like that chronic onlineness. So
Hmm.
I'm trying to work even on my scrolling, right? And I do
Hmm.
think my consumption pre and post becoming a content creator, I actually feel like I'm consuming less,
Mm.
because it's like I'm trying to post, I'm trying to
Yes,
respond to
yes,
comments, I'm trying to. So like if anything, like when I first started using TikTok as a user in March of 2020,
yeah.
um, like I could sit all day, but it's like I can't sit all day because I gotta post, I gotta record, I gotta edit. I'm worried about what
Hmm.
I'm doing, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So when I am scrolling, I feel like I'm scrolling less, but I also feel like I need to know what's going on.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I think you have great boundaries around that already, and I think that's wonderful, right? Because it's like, yeah, you need to know yourself. Yeah, I can't look at that. I can't respond to that comment because I'm gonna just delete it.
No, and that's and like people like I've started a series of like accounts I'm blocking or
I
I've
know, I've
blocked,
seen
like,
that.
so like I don't mind, I don't have a problem blocking somebody, like I don't have a
Yes,
problem deleting a
yes.
comment, like that is not an
Me
issue for me.
too. Me
Are there
too.
times where you telling me, Jean Isabella? I feel like burnout is, that's something I feel like I
Mm.
deal with as a creator.
Yeah.
Because like I'm always constantly trying to find ways to like, what is the next level? Like I've
Mm.
achieved this milestone, this follower count. Like what am I trying to do next? Like what's the next thing? How do I level up? Do I pivot? Brands I want to work with, pitching brands. How do I get noticed? Like I'm always thinking. So like that's where the
A lot.
burnout is.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. For me personally, I think also you can prepare your audience to be like, hey, I'm taking a break and you're not gonna see me, and that's just it,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know if
It is.
I don't think I've done that. I don't think I've done
Yeah.
that.
Yes. You absolutely should. And it's fine too, because I think, with social media, it's communities, right? Your followers are your community. And oftentimes, like, they're going to be like, okay, understood. We'll still be here when you come back. And that's that. And so for last couple years, I regularly would take like a month off where I'm not creating. I may consume, but I'm not creating, because it is a different level of energy when you're constantly creating versus when you're consuming. Because you're, like you said, your mind's constantly going like, ooh, what can I do? Is there a trend I can hop on? Or maybe there isn't a trend. What can I do? What brand is it? Like, just it can be a lot. So I'm definitely I will take a break and maybe prepare the audience, prepare the others, like PTO, prepare the others, use your social media PTO. And so I am a blocker. I don't even, I'm very much so, because I am a Black woman on social media, comments can get real racist. And I don't need to be triggered. It's my phone. so, so if something to me comes off even slightly racist, I'm like, block. I'm sorry if you like meant something else, but if I'm reading it as possibly mean, racist, or bullying, I don't care. I'm blocking you. I'm deleting the comment. I actually don't care. And that's just that. And then yeah, taking breaks to like maybe also create, to like to brainstorm and think of things. But um it can be hard if like that's how you make your money as well, right? Like
Mhm.
the posting.
And that's why
So
and that's why I don't think I want to go full time, because it's like
yeah.
I don't want to
Mhm.
depend on, well, like, one, fluctuating income, and two,
Exactly.
like, things go up and down every day. It's we hate influencers and y'all
Mhm.
promote over consumption and y'all are unrealistic and y'all lie, and like I don't even want to
Okay.
deal with like the change, like the fluctuating sentiment. Not even like
Right.
the income. It's like one day you hate us, the next day you love us. Like what is it?
Exactly. And that has happened to me. I would say 2023, 2024. I was getting brand deals. I was like, doing deals with people. I was going to Coachella. Brands were taking me to Coachella. Like I was like, oh, this is the life. And then it just kind of died out, right? And I don't really know why. I mean, I also had fluctuated in how I posted because I was exhausted. I was tired. I was focused on real life versus my social media life. And so I think Yeah, it's a very volatile industry as well. It can go up and down, and you don't want like your livelihood to be depending on what you post online. No shade to anyone who does that. I think some people have figured out really great systems that work for them, but it can take a while, especially as Black creators. It can take a while to get to that level of where you feel like, okay, I'm good, money's coming in, I've got a system of how I can do things that doesn't stress me out, but until then, it can feel like a grind.
Yeah, and plus I want health insurance, so it's never gonna.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite activity in the deck?
Oh, do I have a favorite activity? I'm not gonna lie, I love getting my hair braided. It is something that it feels spiritual for me when I do it.
Okay.
There's something about it that like one, it's like I'm getting my hair done, which is wonderful. Two, it's like something ancestral about it, like just, and also brings me back to maybe when I was younger and my mom or my grandmother might have done my hair. That I don't know, that just does something to my spirit when I get my hair braided. And I just think it's just so beautiful what our hair can do. It makes me feel good about myself. But also, I'm gonna say I also love an activity where that involves a friend. I love connecting with friends. I think community, especially research has also shown that with community Black women, that's how we really, really take care of each other. We're really good at building communities, maintaining communities with each other. It's like it is our expertise. As you can see, it's something that you even do with your social media. Like, is so important, and it's healing. Like, you don't feel like you're alone in experiencing some of the things you might experience, when you may go through microaggressions through the day. Like, you can having friends who you can be like, they thought I was an employee at the store. Like,
No,
how dare they?
Yeah.
Right? And like and it's good to have friends that are gonna be like to be like, yeah, I get it.
I've like validate what you're feeling.
So
I think for me, the hair braiding piece, because I do stay in a braid, not like today, but I do stay in a braid. For me, it's like, this is one thing I don't have to worry about. Like the idea of doing hair every day, fluffing out hair, bumping ends, even like you put this in a pineapple and it's like, I have to take this down so the gravity can pull it down by 7:30 because I'm getting on Instagram. I'm getting on TikTok live. Like the thing is sticking up. I had to take it down so it could like, so for me, it's like not having to worry about this. Like, this is one thing I don't have to worry about. I can get up and go, etc., etc.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
So I pulled 3 cards. And again, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I pulled 3 cards from each section. There's 3 sections: mind, body, and soul, because you believe in like mental, physical, spiritual self-care. I'm going to call out 1 card from each section, and I kind of want you to speak to it. And then I might have a couple of follow-up questions for each one. Are you ready?
Yes.
So in the mind section, one of the activities is stop educating people on racism.
Ooh, yes.
Can you kind of speak to like what that looks like?
Yes. So that looks like not being the go-to person to explain everything that is going on, maybe in the world, like currently. Being the one that, I'm going to say maybe you have a friend that isn't Black, and feeling like, oh, I have to be the token friend here, Black friend here, that explains to you what structural racism is, what individual racism is, why what was done was racist. It can be triggering, and also it can be like, it's just exhausting. And that activity really comes from my own experience also, as like growing up in a predominantly white or Asian neighborhood where, I've had to explain cultural things, and it's like sometimes you just don't want to. Like, I don't feel like having to explain to you why racism is bad. Like,
so how does this look in real life? Like, what is like a script? Because you can't be like, no, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about race. With like, what do you say to someone who wants to start talking about race and you're supposed to be the black represent, what is something you could say to
Yeah.
establish that boundary?
That is a very good question. Um, let's see. Maybe the calm way would simply be like, thanks for asking that question. I don't really feel like answering that question right now. And but here are some links if
Okay.
you would like to explore it more. You can point, you can redirect. You can redirect, be like, or you can also be like, oh, I don't know, but maybe you can go this way. Here's this YouTube video, or here's this website,
Okay.
or you can honestly just be like, oh, I don't know, like you can also just simply be like, I don't no, I don't really feel like I don't understand that. No, I don't know. No, you can play dumb. I encourage that. You can play dumb. But but
Okay.
I think it's also okay to simply be like, yeah, I don't feel like answering that question. As simple as that. I don't feel like answering that question, but I
Okay.
can point you in the right direction for an answer.
So in this current social political climate,
Yeah.
what is your advice to Black women who are trying to reconcile
Mhm.
me first, choosing myself? Um, this is not my fight. I'm not going to be at the forefront of this, but still wanting to not feel like they're in a place of inaction or an apathy. Like how do we reconcile this world, but also wanting to like still remain engaged?
Yeah. I think decide what level of engagement can you do, you know? Um, what level is going to work for you? Is it maybe you still want to, be out there protesting or talking about these issues, and recognize what are the boundaries that don't necessarily activate your nervous system. What are ways that you can engage and still be proactive without feeling so dysregulated that then you can't interact anymore. So it's about finding out, what is that for you. Is it, posting online? Is it talking to people in your community? Is it talking to coworkers about it? Is it sending emails to your congressperson? What is the level of engagement that works for you, that will make you still feel safe?
Okay, okay. Moving on to body. Stretch before bed. What's the benefit of
Mhm.
stretching before bed?
Yes, as we get older, our bodies do get stiffer. And so stretching is good for the body, keeps the blood flowing. And also stretching can also like ignite like our parasympathetic system, and that is like our rest and digest system, which triggers to our body to like, okay, it's time to go to sleep or it's time to rest, and that'll help you lean into a better sleep.
Okay, okay. So simple as that. And
Yeah.
like, is it like, do you recommend like specific stretches or like, should we just be doing yoga? What does, what type of stretches?
Yeah. One again, what do you want to do? You got to figure out what is the best stretch for you, but I will say like bending forward is a really good stretch, because that does help like I was talking about the parasympathetic system. It really does help trigger to your system that like, oh yeah, okay, it's time to rest. And someone said child's pose. Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Child's pose is a really good one. Um, so it can be as simple as stretching forward, stretching towards your leg, stretching your back, your arm, your neck. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And now for a soul card, a
Yes.
spiritual card. Create a financial plan. How do you take something that is stressful, like finances, and translate it into an act of self care?
Yeah, that is so true, right? Because that money is stressful, especially if you don't have a lot of it, or you want to make more of it.
Hmm.
Um, you know, Seeking advisement from other places, whether it's like a financial advisor with your bank, because some banks offer that for free. Whether it's looking online to people who have resources, communities of people who are talking about finances, podcasts that are talking about it. Also, maybe figure out what are your goals financially too. Like, is your goal just to save money for retirement? Is your goal saving up for a house? Is it, oh, I'm just saving money for vacations? And, you know, really sitting down and also looking at your money. Like, where is my money going? It's very important to know where your money is going, so you're not surprised by like, oh, why is my bank account overdrafted? You know, like, just it's just good to be prepared. So it reduces any anxiety about money. And I think it's so important that we're not afraid of money as well. I think that's a very common thing that sometimes a lot of us are afraid of it just simply because you don't get a lot of education on it. You know, that's something that you have to seek education out on unless you work in finance. And yeah, really decide on what do you value, right? Like, I personally value going on vacation, so I have a savings account where money is going into. So when I get that time to buy that plane ticket, I'm good, you know. Or do I have a Roth IRA, which that's retirement and whatnot. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. For those who are just tuning in, where can they get the deck?
Oh, yes, you can get it wherever books are sold, whether it's Amazon, Barnes and Noble's, Bookshop, a Black-owned bookstore, Kindred Stories sells them online, Mahogany Books. Am I saying that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Mahogany
Yes.
Books, yeah.
Yes, they have them online. Any bookstore that has an online store, they will usually have it. And if your local bookstore doesn't have it, you can actually just go to them and request it, and they will order it.
Yo, they'll get anything for you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For those who are tuning in or who are tuned in, now is the time to ask your questions. So we're gonna get some questions going. In the meantime, where can people keep up with you online?
Yes, I am OLUDARA ADEEYO on all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Threads. I'm kind of on Pinterest. I'm on Facebook. But if you follow me on Instagram, you follow me on Facebook. It's the same.
Okay.
But I'm mainly on TikTok and Instagram. It's just interesting. Like, my TikTok content is a lot of Spanish and Bad Bunny, but I try to infuse other stuff as well.
Okay. And are you still writing? Like, I see, like, are you still writing? Are you still tapping into like that part of you? Do you have a newsletter, a Substack? Like, what you got?
Yes, I am still writing personally, and I haven't written an article in a while. I will be honest, 2025 was a rough year for me mentally and spiritually, so I really rested. So I didn't do a lot of like external writing outside of projects. But so no Substack. But I am working on that.
Okay.
So I
Okay,
will
so
try to
coming
get.
soon.
Yes, hopefully, I'll try to do that or a blog. You know, I've been thinking about bringing blogs back, even though I know that's what Substack
Yeah.
is. But I sometimes I'm still like a little bit old school. I'm like, ooh, a blog on my website where people can go to. But I think maybe I will work on having a Substack soon.
And I think your website is pretty thorough. Like, what's your website for those who haven't visited it?
Yes, my website is oludaraadeo.com. You know, I post any articles I may write are in there. And yeah.
Okay. Let's get these questions. Someone had a good question. How do you practice self-care in the midst of grief without guilt?
Without guilt. You know, oh, that is hard, right? Because the guilt will creep up. It'll try to be there because I think grief and guilt can come together because depending on what you're grieving, if it's a person, there can be grief in like, I'm still here and they're not. Or maybe there were things about the relationship that were reconciled before they passed. Um, and I think it's taking it one day at a time. It literally is with when it comes to grieving, because every day will be different. Every day will be different. I think when I look back on my grief journey with my mom's passing, there was a bit of relief in the sense of I wasn't caregiving anymore, but there was a strong sadness because it was like I'm not going to have my mom in my adult life. And even before she passed, I was her caregiver. So we didn't get to have that adult daughter mom relationship. So I had to really take it day by day, lean into daily joys, whatever it was, whatever little joy I could find, until I was like fully ready to like explore other bigger self-care things such as therapy. Did that. That was absolutely essential in my healing. Um, and leaning into community, friends who want to support you. So yeah.
Okay. Someone asked, I haven't read the book. Can I start with the cards?
Yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
of course, of
Of
course. If anything,
course.
these are the 50 that you could do right now. Because
Yes.
you mentioned that the
Mm-hmm.
deck is more kind of like things I could do right now. You could pull
Mm-hmm.
out a card right now. Take a break for
Yes.
20 minutes, do nothing for 20 minutes, or
Yes.
take a deep breath, or stretch before bed, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh I love your transparent. Yeah. Because not every, even mental health experts and self-care experts like you, it's not perfect. It's not perfect every day.
No,
So I
it
get it. I
really
get it.
isn't.
Um, oh, my world's coming together. Yay. Have you considered an open Q&A for women, either online or in person? Like, are there things that, like, I know you have your practice.
Yeah.
Are there other, for those of us who can't, fly to California and see you every week, every other week, like, are there things that you're doing like online or virtually, to kind of share your expertise?
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I haven't been, but this is definitely the year that I'm like, okay, let's actually figure this out because I would love a Q&A type of forum, whether it's a podcast, whether it's um some other form. Um whether it's starting a wellness group. So those are things that are like in the works for this year for me for sure. It's just been, I'll be honest, it just felt like the last 5 years I've been in survival mode, even though I've been writing and trying to and practicing self-care. Like sometimes these things they're intertwined. It's like
Yeah.
I'm doing the self-care, but also I feel like I'm in survival mode, but also I'm taking care of myself and it honestly it can feel like it goes together a lot.
Okay.
It's not
Uh,
perfect.
Someone wants to know, can you bring these cards to therapy?
Absolutely, why
Okay.
not?
As a therapist,
Yes.
how do you feel about patients, clients bringing other people's
Oh,
tools?
absolutely.
Oh, you're okay with that? Okay.
I think most therapists love it. We love that because it really tells your therapist that you're also doing the work outside of therapy. Like, and that's really where the work is. It's like the therapy space is great for, a lot of things, but also the real work is outside of therapy. Like, how are you taking care of yourself? How are you applying the things that were addressed in therapy to your world, right?
Mhm.
So,
Another question, how can we incorporate the practices in your book into our work life? Because, we're working. Like,
mhm.
what does self-care look like for Black women in the workplace?
Yes, in the workplace. Well, you got to make sure you actually are ready to make time for yourself. You got to be real about that and being like, okay, and intentional about that. Like, let me carve out at least 5 minutes of my day to do something for myself, whether it's pick up the card and read an activity or actually do a self care activity. And that is a great place to start because I do find that women who are really busy really have a hard time slowing down. And I encourage start with 5, build up to 10, 20, etc. until like you're able to allot time for yourself to really take care of yourself.
Okay. One of my question, probably the last question, if no one else has any. What are you seeing currently, like January 2026? Like, what do you think the biggest challenges and threats to Black women's mental health are right now? Like in this current moment, like what is really putting Black women through it right now?
What is really putting Black women through it right now? If I were to be honest, goddamn administration.
Okay.
Okay.
So politically,
Yes,
we're
I
we're being
think the
put through it.
socio-political climate is really doing a number on us collectively. I think we are all going through a collective trauma. I think those of us who, one, are like, yeah, this country has always been this messed up. What are you talking about? We knew this. We knew. I think for a lot of Black women, we're like, we knew this was gonna happen. We knew this was bubbling at the surface. And then also a little bit of there may be some guilt of like, well, I don't really want to get involved, but I feel like I still should. And how do I balance that? Like, how do I, like I've been saying, engage at the level that is good for my nervous system? And that is different for everybody, right? Like some people are like, I can still go hard. And some people are like, I absolutely cannot. I need to just keep my head down and stay focused on my work and the people in my life. And that's all I can do for now. And that is okay. Um, I'm sorry. I just read a comment. Someone said it's my finances.
No, I get it. Like it's money is always at top of
The
mind. You
beast of
have
our voice, yes.
inflation, like we just dealt with like one of the longest
Right.
government shutdowns.
Yes.
You know, Black women are overrepresented in the federal workforce. So what are kind of like, so you're talking politically is kind of like the biggest thing that
Yes.
you're seeing right now. Okay.
A lot of like, how are we going to survive? How are we preparing to survive? Right? Like, no one wants to be alarmist and be like, oh, everything is going to go to crap. Right? Like, but like, I think for a lot of us, we're like, okay, well, I got to make sure I got money saved up. I got to make sure I can keep this job. Some right now may not be the best time to try to leave a job because you don't know how long it'll be to get another job. And I will say, like, what I noticed in the last year, I was working full time for myself up until the end of last year. I was like, I got to get a full time job. Okay. I was paying for my own insurance. I was like, I need a benefactor in the form of a corporation right now. Okay. And I think that is something I noticed. A lot of entrepreneurial Black women were like, okay, where's the full-time job I can have while still working on my part-time thing or the thing that I want to be full-time. Because we're just in a totally different socio-political economic like status like right now. Like it's just
No, it's stressful.
It's
And that's why
stressful.
I'm so appreciative of us having this chat at the beginning of the year. You know, a lot of people take the new year seriously. Like I've been trying to
Yeah.
start my new year for 3 weeks now.
No.
Today was not like, and I'm very much a like, oh, it has to happen on a Sunday, or like I'm very much a Sunday Monday. So like today was supposed to be my new year because last week, TMI, my period started last Monday. So I'm like, oh, it's not gonna be today. And then
No,
next
and that's
week, and
fair.
then this today I woke up late and I've just been watching His and Hers on Netflix. Like I'm not,
Yeah.
and but
And
also,
that is fine.
but
Well,
also,
sorry, I'm curious, what are your like goals if you want to share?
and that's the thing. It's like I had to ask myself. I'm like, what does a like? Why does this? Why does the New Year have to be like this thing?
Yeah,
Like, why does it
it
have to
does.
be? Why does it have to be this formal thing? Why do I feel like this day is when everything can change? Like for
Right.
me, it's just kind of like, you know, and I don't know if I'm gonna get canceled for this, but like even like going into like January 1, it's like I'm not stressing myself trying to deep clean. Like I wasn't stressing myself deep cleaning on the 31st. The house was probably a little dirty for some for
hmm
January 1. Like I'm like I can't do I couldn't do it. So
hmm
I didn't do it, right? And like one
hmm
of your activities is like showing yourself compassion and
hmm
letting go of your timelines.
Yes.
So I'm like it's not going to be spotless for January 1,
Yeah.
and you know this is what the third, fourth Monday in the month. Like it's not so
No,
part of me
I
is like,
I
what does the
agree.
new year have to like? What is a new year?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think like your new year or your whatever goal for the year needs to start right at the beginning of the year, Like we're on what day? It's the 19th and I just had my first workout of the year since
Mhm.
the end of last year, which was just a couple weeks ago. So it's like you've got to give yourself grace. And I think especially in this climate, like we are all under, like I said, collective trauma where we're all witnessing things that are very scary, and a lot of us are in communities with other people that we're like, we're worried, we're scared, we're worried about our neighbors, we're worried about people we love. And so it's like we gotta give ourselves grace. We have to, because this is I think, what's the term, unprecedented, that
Yeah,
was a
and I'm a
buzzword.
millennial, so like unprecedented is
Yeah, all
how
right.
many unprecedented
Okay.
events have I lived
Right.
through as someone
How
born
many
in
more can we
1989?
take?
It's been the worst. But yeah, for me, it's like, yeah, today's not my new year either. When I'm ready to go all systems go, then that's the day,
Yeah,
right? But it's not
exactly.
today. It wasn't last Monday. It wasn't the 5th, and it wasn't the 1st. So it is what it is.
Exactly.
Um but I do want to thank you so much for chatting with me about self-care for Black women. As a reminder, the deck is out tomorrow wherever you get your books, all major retailers. Shop small and Black if you can.
Yes, please
The
do.
book is always here if you want a more, like, I guess, fleshed out version
Yeah,
of this. You can get the book wherever, the deck
more
wherever.
activities as well.
Give this as a gift. Buy them both. I have both. Like I said, I keep this in my guest room
Mhm.
for guests who are curious about what is this.
Yes,
And then this, I've had it for a
yeah.
while.
I want to say,
So
do you have these?
I don't have. I have the coloring book, but I don't have
Okay.
these. I don't
Okay.
have.
We'll make sure you get these.
Thank
Thank
you, thank you,
you.
thank you. So I want to thank you so much. As a reminder, your username is OLUDARA ADEEYO
Yes,
everywhere. A
everywhere.
website of the same
Mhm.
title,
Mhm.
books wherever you get your books. And I know for you, you'll always be on TikTok and on Instagram. So
Yes, I will. And my content is just like fun, like carefree, trying to live soft, cozy, everything. As a carefree Black girl, that is really kind of like, I would say that's my brand. It's very much so like, let's really live carefree.
okay, someone said congrats. My
Yeah.
Bad Bunny bonnet and my DM.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and big.
Amen.
I don't know when the Super Bowl is. It's not next weekend. It's the
It's
next.
February 8th, I
Yeah,
think.
so that big day for you. Big day for
Yes.
you.
Oh my
Big,
gosh. Literally my Super Bowl.
big day for you. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much. For those of you who missed any part of this chat, you can watch all of this on my YouTube tomorrow. Dara, again, thank you so much. I hope you have a great night.
You
And
too.
this conversation will be on YouTube tomorrow.
Wonderful.
All
And I am
right.
on YouTube, so you can tag me, I think, if that's
Okay,
a thing.
sounds good. And everyone, you all have a great night. Take a deep breath, stretch before bed. Uh Everything in the deck. Everything in the deck you can get tomorrow. So I want to see all y'all's decks when you start ordering them and buying them tomorrow. Good night,
Yes.
everyone.